So let's see how that act applies to some kind of a real situation. And let me just give you some background about this. For years, my friend Mark Nassar has been trying to get me to bring these lawsuits. He called me up last summer and he said, hey, we got to sue the city of San Francisco. I said, what happened? He goes, well, look, they've been throwing all this garbage out on our beach for 17 years and the Coastal Commission won't do anything about it, and I don't know why they won't do anything about it. We could ask Jamie maybe at the break. But he says they've just applied for a permit, and guess what? The commissioners unanimously denied it. And so there's your knowingly. You apply for a permit, you knew you were doing something wrong, and now we're bumped up into those nice penalties that make this kind of an important case. But so when Mark called me, I was interested in it for a few reasons. One is I spent 4 years surfing that beach when I was in law school, and it's an incredible resource. I mean, the waves are unbelievable. It's unspoiled. It's dangerous, but it's nice, exposed, beautiful place, and they've trashed it. And so that was the one reason. And the other was, as I mentioned, the size of the lawsuit. When we go through the numbers, you could be at $20 or $30 million in penalties. And that got my attention. Not that I could get that money, but this is a big lawsuit, and that's what I like personally to work on. Let's look at the allegations a little bit. August 9th, 2011, my client, which is the California Coastal Protection Network, which is a very, very legitimate nonprofit, very well known, filed an action against the city and county of San Francisco for private enforcement under the Coastal Act. And that lawsuit, as I mentioned, can be found on my website. The allegations are assorted concrete, pavement, rebar, sidewalk, and other rock and rubble and debris has been dumped at various times without permits, permission, or environmental review or engineering during an approximately 17-year period. Now, if you've never been up there, they built a road next to the ocean, and this is a powerful ocean. I mean, the waves out at Ocean Beach are not like other places. They're like Hawaii. The ground shakes when the waves get big. And you build a road next to it, of course, you're going to have beach erosion. And so their road's about to get swept out into the ocean. And instead of planning and how to fix it correctly for 17 years, they would just respond by throwing junk. And when you stand out there, I mean, this is junk. You got pieces of sidewalk, you got all kinds of stuff, and it's pretty dangerous, and it's unsightly. And when you go to the city's website, they brag that they are the greenest city in the Western Hemisphere. 11 metal poles erected by San Francisco and Surf Zone, posing dangerous hazard to surfers. San Francisco had a permit from 2001 to 2003 that expired, but that was nearly 10 years ago, but they did not remove the development. That pole up there, there's 7 of those. Each one of those poles is a knowing violation. Think about that. Additional 425 rock revetment placed in 2010 without permits or environmental review. After the fact, permit application denied by the Coastal Commission, July 2010. This is a city that's supposed to be environmentally friendly, and they're blatantly violating the Coastal Act. So the hammer I was talking about earlier, the San Francisco case, these are knowing violations. They applied for a permit, and it was unanimously denied. So they obviously knew about the violations. Let's say there's one violation at $1,000 per day, which is the low end of that statute. That's $365,000 a year for 3 years. That's $1 million. What if it's 7 violations? And not to mention the rock revetments are a violation. We have these games where we sit there and count the violations. So what we've asked for, and maybe a San Francisco judge finds it's $15,000 a violation. I doubt it, but it's something big. And and this is So we're asking in our lawsuit for civil penalties and asking them to restore the beach to what it was. That's kind of how this works. It's simple. Go. You know, if you got a neighbor doing something wrong, like Jamie was saying, you've got some record producer in Malibu blocking access to a beach, go to the Coastal Commission, find out if they got a permit. If they don't, call Mark Nassar or call the Coastal Commission and just file a lawsuit.